Downtown Fargo, where culture, creativity, and community collide. You've heard the headlines. Now hear what's really happening. Bringing the best of Broadway direct to you. The stories, the people, and the places that make downtown the heartbeat of our city. This is Rocky's Downtown Hour with Rocky Schneider.
Happy Friday, everybody. This is Rocky Schneider on Rocky's Downtown Hour. On this beautiful January day in Fargo, it's looking like winter's supposed to out there. Finally got some snowfall. It's a good reason to pull out the snow activities, whatever you do. Snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, or just warming up at home with a hot chocolate. But in downtown Fargo, we are still busy. We had a fun week. We had our State of Downtown meeting on Monday. This was our second annual State of Downtown, and we talked about everything going on downtown, and we got some pretty good media coverage on it. It was a sold-out event. We had the mayor speak and the police chief. We also had the Fargo Theatre. It was really great. Kendra O'Brien on their board spoke. The Fargo Theater's turning 100 years old this year. And so they are going through, if you haven't been to the Fargo Theatre lately, they are completely taking out all of the seats at the Fargo Theatre. And so I bought a couple of them as well. They had like a fundraiser, I guess, or a promotion. You could buy 2 seats. I think they were like $100 a seat. So it was, a little commitment, but I have no idea what to do with them. But I feel like it's a fun nostalgia thing to have some Fargo Theatre seats. So we'll find some fun activities to do with those, or otherwise we'll just sell them at some point, I guess. But we bought some from the balcony that were from 1930s, and then the ones on the floor, I think, were from the 1960s. And so I think they're looking to upgrade those because seating is always one of those things at movie theaters that are the biggest wants, right? We all want more room, the cup holders. It's tough to beat the recliners. I mean, let's be honest, at the big theaters. But the Fargo Theater has got that nostalgia feel, and it's fun to do shows there. But our State of Downtown, we had 150 attendees, like 60-some companies. Kind of talked about everything going on in downtown. Downtown has a lot. Every hour of the day is different in downtown. And we had we use a company called Placer.ai. This is a company that tracks your cell phone usage. I think they're not the only one. There's a lot of it. Every time you get that app notice that, would you like the app to track that? Well, cell phones tell a lot of data, and they sell it, and that's what we all give them freely with having a cell phone. But so we track how many visits come to downtown every year, how many come to events, how many different people, where do they live, where do they come from, all those types of things. And so in downtown in 2025, just to do some quick recaps, we had 5 million visits to downtown Fargo last year from about 615,000 different people. And so just to kind of put that in perspective, that means every day, every hour, every minute, we could have thousands of people making an opinion about our town. And I think locally here, we like to divide ourselves up into neighborhoods and like, does downtown represent the whole city and all those sort of things. But I think if you're visiting Fargo, you are probably making an opinion about the whole city based off what you see in downtown Fargo. And so while we can separate ourselves locally sometimes, I think when people come to town, they stay downtown or they go to an event downtown. They're here for a convention or a concert, or they here for work. Maybe they're being recruited by a company in town to come work here. They're bringing their spouse to say, hey, do we want to live here? And they check out downtown first. It's what's different about Fargo. I think, suburban areas generally look like other suburban areas in other cities. And so people go to check downtown like, hey, is this someplace we want to move to? What do we have on the weekends that's happening? What events are happening? And so downtown's where they're making their impression off the whole community. I think we see that around the country. When you think about another city, you don't immediately think about, well, what do their suburbs look like? You think about what their downtown looks like. So that's what we're trying to do here, and we're taking a look at everything we did in 2025 to address some of the challenges we have. But we also took time to celebrate. I mean, we had, between the Red River Market and the street fair, the parades, and we had hundreds of thousands of people come through our events last year, and we did so without any significant criminal activity. I think people would, may be surprised out there, but we didn't have a police incident at any of our events. Hundreds of thousands of people. No police incidents. So it's very safe. Not even very safe. It is safe. There was no incidents. And so just kind of reminder to people that, when downtown we have activities that we take great care and planning and work with our police force that are great. And we make sure we can focus on the event, right? We want people to not focused on anything else. Have fun, bring your family down, have those great times. But we also want to send the message back with all those visitors, the 600,000 different people that came to downtown last year. We want to tell them Fargo's great. Our whole region, when we say Fargo, it's the whole region. There's only one downtown. I know we talk about downtown West Fargo, downtown Moorhead, but they call downtown Fargo their downtown too. It's the regional downtown. It's the biggest one in the area. And we're trying to make that, continue to be that gathering place for culture, commerce, community. I know when you look back at it, I always bring up my mom who went to NDSU in the 60s and from Bowman, North Dakota. That's where people are getting from rural areas, from small towns, from the farm. They come to Fargo either for school, for commerce, for culture, NDSU games, whatever it is, right? They come and that's like their gateway to the rest of the world. Sometimes they bring that back to their, farm if it's a sale, if it's an idea. Sometimes they use that to branch out to the rest of the world. And I just think that's an amazing thing. And that's what Fargo is. It's our front door to our community. And it's where we need to continue to work on, right? We have a great downtown over the last 20-some years. We've spent making downtown what it is. And COVID was a tough time for everybody, but really tough time for downtown, for dense areas. And we're continuing to struggle with a couple of those decisions made during COVID. But 2025, we made a number of actions that we're happy about, and we'll continue to talk about those on this show. But we made a number of improvements with the police on technology, on ordinances, on the real-time crime center. We also are moving the engagement center out of downtown. We also, had the encampment ordinance passed back in March. And so the riverfront is clear. We have the beautiful river trails that the city's committed millions of dollars to do as well. And so, it's one of those things. I think downtown it takes a while to change those behaviors and attitudes and everything else. But I think now during the 2026, we're looking forward to our 50th annual street fair coming up. We have some big ideas and big things planned for that. We expect, again, 100,000 people to come through over those 3 days in July. We have our St. Patrick's Day parade coming up in March that we expect to be, sold out again. We have our coffee and cocoa crawl, which has become a new local favorite in our community that we expect to, sell out again. That's actually on Valentine's Day this year. And so if you are looking for something fun to do on Valentine's Day, we're really happy that it kind of coincided with that Saturday. So it'll be a great kind of Galentine's event or, date event or just a fun thing to come out. You can get tickets online. I think we're about half sold out right now. And so we're looking forward to selling that out. We have handmade mugs from Hayden's Living the Dream Pottery. So check that out on downtownfargo.com. Or you can look on the Facebook for the coffee and cocoa crawl. But we'll have a couple dozen businesses signed up. You can go around with your brand new mug and try out hot cocoa. I think there's chai at places. There's coffee, different types of coffee drinks. There might be some hot tea out there. Good for kids as well. Kids 10 and under are free as well. And so come on, explore a bunch of different shops, get little samples of it everywhere. Looking forward to that, kind of kick off our event season for 2026. But we just had a great fun at our State of Downtown event. There's so much passion and small business owners in downtown Fargo. And it's all about the people. We don't have chain stores. We don't have drive-throughs. It's all just local people that are opening up their sort of dream, right? And trying to sell their wares and have a good time. People go out to events, the Red River Market or at the bars or out to dinner, meet people, meet your spouse, meet friends, and make those. That's how the community starts, is where we start building our community. And it's where the community started, right? Downtown Fargo is where we founded Fargo, and it's where we've grown into. And it's all for everybody. You don't have to like every part of downtown or every hour downtown. It's not for you. That's okay. But I guarantee you'll find something downtown. If not, I challenge you to give me a call, and I'll bring you downtown and show you a good time. But we'll talk more about it when we get back after the break. Welcome back to Rocky's Downtown Hour, talking everything about downtown. We had our State of Downtown meeting this week. It's a good way to recap the year. It was sort of real conversations with everybody downtown. We had 60-some business owners there, but we also had our partners there. The Park District, Park Board turned out. The city commissioners were there. The police force were there. We had our partners from the Chamber and the CVB or the Visit Fargo Moorhead folks. It was a good group of get together, and let's talk about what happened in 2025, what we're looking forward to in 2026. How do we continue to enhance our events, enhance our stores down there? But also, we're going through a tough, I think, economic time across the city, across the country. And how do we combat that as well? And how do we support our local shops, not just downtown, but everywhere, trying to keep that money local, but also talk about the convention center. There's potential, there is a convention center coming to Fargo. We voted on it as a taxing entity, and people voted it in. So we all have a tax now on our lodging in Fargo. So it's one of those things paid for by visitors. But the city commission in Fargo is going to pick where that convention center goes. I think it should be downtown Fargo. But there are 4 locations still in the running, and no matter where that goes, we know it's going to be good for our community and good for downtown, because when people come to Fargo, that's where they make their impressions, and they go downtown and they want to check out what the nightlife's like, check out what the restaurants are, what's different about Fargo. And so, yeah, we're excited for the convention center. It brings, tens of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people. I don't know what the number is they're looking at, but I know when I go to a convention in another city, you end up walking around and you're spending money, probably buy some gifts for the kids or friends or just yourself. You spend more money, you go out to dinner, right? You're looking for entertainment, to get out maybe with some people at the conference or just get out by yourself. I think it'll be a great thing for our community. It's going to take a while to build, obviously, but not too much longer now. I think they're supposed to pick in like March. And so we talked about that. The mayor spoke as sort of our keynote, I guess, at the State of Downtown, talked about the different things, looking back a year ago where we were in downtown and what we addressed this year, because we knew we had some challenges we had to address, some behaviors we were trying to curb and change, and a number of things. The city took action on the encampment ordinance, which, we had a growing homeless issue. We talk about it in relation to downtown, but they didn't start downtown, right? People end up homeless all over the city, all over the state, all over the region. And they end up in downtown because that's where it's pedestrian friendly. It's where services are, that sort of thing. But it's sort of the canary in the coal mine, everybody. If you see homelessness downtown, it's not because they got kicked out of their apartment across the street, right? It's because they ended up there from one of your communities. Maybe they're your neighbors. And so we needed to address that, but also we needed to make sure it was safe. And so one of the things we wanted to do was reclaim the riverfront, the river trails, that amenity for everybody. It was not a safe place to camp near the river, and the city did a good job clearing that out. And also that they partnered with United Way and the Homeless Coalition to try to get people back into housing, right? We do what we can. Part of that is get them a better space to meet and do that. They made a couple decisions during COVID that not everybody loved, and it wasn't working for those getting services. It's not working for those providing services, and it certainly wasn't working for our shops downtown. So we've worked on relocating the engagement center, and that is underway now to relocate out of downtown to First Avenue and a little ways away. We also increased a number of ordinances downtown, and the police got those cool electric trikes, which always, I think, look a little silly, but man, they're fun to watch. They are fast. They're much more pedestrian friendly. So when we say pedestrian friendly, you got to police at the level of the community you're policing, right? If you're driving in downtown, you don't see much, and you can see that police car coming. If you're on, the interstate, you're not going to police on a trike. You're not going to police walking around. But if you're downtown, you have to police by walking around, or something more mobile friendly like the trike, where you can actually engage with people. So it was a good sort of compromise, but also the real-time crime center. It's one of those things I think has been a little controversial for some reason, but we have cameras. There's cameras everywhere. I think in this studio here, I got 5 cameras on me, and I got my phone listening to me all the time. Every time I say I want something, or my wife says they want something on my phone, like it ends up I get ads for it, right? We're all being watched. It's not a secret, everybody. But you're also being watched downtown, and the police have eyes on that almost 24 hours a day now, and it's amazing to watch them catch something before anybody reports it. And that's true of any security in any mall, anywhere else in the city. It's like, you're probably on camera, so, watch your P's and Q's, I guess. But that was a good thing. But I think some of that's just going to take time to convince people that things are changing, right? The police chief gave a great report. Chief has his communication challenges. I think we've all seen that this last year, but he's working hard at it, and he's working on partnerships and empowering his officers and everything. And I love working with his team. He had a lot of data at the meeting on Monday, and it was great to see the data. Crime overall, I think, in the city is down by a good margin. And in Beat 2, which is downtown, it was down 8% over this last year. Had all the different categories broken out on the different types, all those sort of things. And while I don't love talking about crime, it's a reality. I think was a growing reality through COVID, through economic times. You see those spikes that come up. But to see it down year over year is always helpful. We can hope to continue to curb those attitudes and changes with our changes that we made. And as again, I'll just say we had hundreds of thousands of people at our events this year and not one criminal activity. And so I think the crimes that we are seeing are obviously the late night drinking related crimes, and it's people to people crimes of people that know each other. We don't see a random crimes so often, and that's great to see. We're lucky to have that in partnership with our police force. Obviously, in the studio here, you see all the news up on the TV, and Minneapolis, I think, is near and dear to all of our hearts. We probably have our memories going to Minneapolis, Twins games, Vikings games, shopping days, Mall of America, Valley Fair, all those things. And what's going on there is kind of beyond belief. I think I don't even know what to say about it other than that. It's unreal, and it's not that far away. It's makes me so thankful for the relationship we have locally with law enforcement, but also, people got to be better. We gotta show a little more kindness, everybody. I don't know what else to say about that. You gotta treat your neighbor like you want to be treated. There's nothing more simple than that. And trying to avoid that coming to our area, and we don't want that. I don't think it's helping, frankly. Everything starts with a bit of necessity, sure. There's always a reason for that, but some of the decisions being made obviously are not the correct decisions, because that should not be happening on American streets. And so something's going wrong, and hopefully it gets better soon. And we're happy to not have that here. We're happy to still be able to talk about things like our events and our nightlife, being able to go out, walk around, feeling safe. I think that's the thing everybody wants. I think some of these folks, leadership, you see them online commenters, maybe even other radio hosts at times, like to kind of fuel the fire, right? It makes for good media. It makes for draw that friction, that tension. There's usually something behind it, right? And so we know if you're speaking anger, it's probably coming from your inside. It's not related to somebody else. And so let's think about that, everybody, when you go out and make your comments and draw the lines in the sand, because it's a lot more fun to have fun. I don't know who wants to talk about that, who wants to do those things. Let's spread kindness and spread fun, because I like coming on here, talking about our events coming up. I don't have any guests today, so it's just me. You get me in the studio, but we have a couple events coming up. There's a sauna event tomorrow at Bruhala. You can go out and have sauna. I mean, these things are just fun, and everybody's welcome. People are different. We have a lot of diversity in downtown Fargo, and I think coming from different areas of North Dakota, it looks very diverse, and it feels very diverse. I know I got a complaint the other day from a business that a homeless person came in their store and looked around and made them feel uncomfortable, and then they left. And it's just really tough to hear those things, because while I was kind of waiting for the and then, there's not often an and then, and people are making impressions off this. And while that's all fair, everyone's feelings matter and perception matters a great deal, and we need to help out everybody. It makes you wonder, like, okay, where's that fear coming from? And what can we do about it? And so you look at the news, and I don't think they're doing anything about it. I think they're telling you to be more scared of things that are different. And I don't think that's good. I think downtown, again, talking about my mom coming here in the 60s from Little Bowman, North Dakota, everything was different. And I remember her parents, she's always telling me that my grandparents would tell her, watch out for those city boys, and it's like, think about that now. It's different, but back then it was the same fear, right? Big cities are different. They're scary. There's more people around. There's probably more crime. There's that guy on television swinging his hips. Whatever it is somebody's stoking that fear and stoking that friction. I'd ask everybody to rise above that. I know we tried to do that in downtown, but it's just as important in our schools and in our neighborhoods, even in our own personal relationships. And I think that's what we hope our events do, is invite people down, experience something different, meet different people, and to see that everyone's just living their life and trying to have a good time. Let's have some fun. That's It's a short life out there, everybody. Let's have some fun and be kind. We'll talk more when we get back. Welcome back to Rocky's Downtown Hour. State of Downtown, the best part about it we had on Monday was we get to give out our annual awards. We have these Downtown Broadway Monument Awards that are fashioned after these, I don't know, monuments I guess we have on Broadway. I don't know how many there are, but about every avenue downtown there's these kind of brick pillars with this like steel globe on top. So they look like it. They look cool. It's like an Oscar type thing. But we gave out 4 this year to try to people making a difference in downtown this last year. We were happy to give one to Steve Sprague, the retiring city auditor in Fargo. If you don't know Steve Sprague, great guy, lived just north of downtown, worked at the city for, I don't know, decades, I guess. But straight shooter, handles all of the alcohol licensing issues, but he also did everything for our business improvement district to get that started up. And so we worked with him on a very frequent basis, and so just appreciate him. He's off. I think he bought a little hobby farm. I don't know if that's what he's calling it, but a little hobby farm and up in Harvey, and is having a great time up there. Hopefully he's not out farming today, but welcome. Hopefully he's welcoming his retirement and is spending time with his family and having a good time. So thanks, Steve, for all that you did for us. Another award we gave out, tried to give out to a couple businesses doing something cool. And while we had some new businesses I'd love to honor with it too, these were 2 long-standing businesses in downtown Fargo that both reinvested. Tough time to reinvest, and we're happy they chose to reinvest in Fargo. But one is Nicole's Pastries and Cafe. Nicole Henson, who's been on the radio with me here as well, been a guest. She has Nicole's right on 8th Street there. I think probably been around, I forget now how long it was. It was like 20, she's going to correct me if I get it wrong, but it was something like 23 years, 24 years, and making pastries and sweets and a little coffee shop there. And they had some deli items as well, but she's expanded into the building next to her. There's a kind of a gourmet market there where you can get some gourmet, food goods, but you can also then eat dinner there now too. She has a whole dinner offering. So if you haven't checked that out, she is open for dinner now, and just really appreciate her reinvesting, kind of doubling the size of it, adding a kitchen, and staying in the same spot. That little 8th Street is such a classic little downtown area. When I was growing up, a couple blocks from there, that was where Widman's Chocolates was located. So I spent a lot of time there. But I also had Ernie's Books there is where I used to buy my first comic books, were on that little 8th Street, south of Main area there. Also, a place I spent a lot of time growing up was Mexican Village. I like to eat and I like chocolate. So that was my favorite little area there. But Paradox Comics and Cards, another former guest, moved into the old Mexican Village spot. And to take a huge Mexican restaurant like that and turn it into a comic book store, it didn't seem like the best idea, to be honest. But Paradox has been down there like 33 years, and they are just crushing it at their new location. They have a ton of events that are growing and popular. And what I love about Paradox, not just for them themselves, but for our downtown, is they're a destination. They had over 100,000 visitors last year to Paradox. That's a lot. That's hundreds of people a day coming into a comic book store, but they also have games, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, all those type of things in the back. There's probably a lot more than that now. But there's toys there, knickknacks, lots of comic books, obviously. All the board games you could want, and it's just really cool to see what they do, and they keep expanding their ideas too. Working with Rich there, he wants to keep expanding his events and look for other opportunities to bring people together. Everybody's welcome there, just like our downtown. You can come there and just be yourself, and it's totally okay. And it was just fun to kind of hear him tell that story. He got up and won his award, and he said, well, I have an origin story for you. And I thought it was great. Leaned into the whole superhero aspect. And he says he's the only blind comic book store owner in the country, I think, which is just unique. And he had a good time. It was fun to honor him. And, 33 years in business is like an impossible feat, right? The odds of surviving 33 years in any sort of business is impressive, to say the least. But to continue to do that and to expand his offerings is really neat to see, and I love what he's doing for our downtown. And our last award went to a guy named Jeffrey Porter. He was our head steward at Broadway Square this year. We had something like 150 days activated there, where we had blue blocks out, umbrellas, music playing, splash pad going. We had 50-some events there, some private, some public, and just fun to see all the wide-ranging type of events there. We had Clydesdales from Budweiser. We had, Juneteenth event there. We had the All-African Festival. We had all the markets and the street fair. We had the Navy band. It's like every type of an event you could think all happened in the same space. It wasn't like, oh, that type of group has to go over here and that type of group has to go over there. It's like, nope, we used the same space for everybody, and it worked great. And it was just a good meeting point. It's kind of the cool thing about downtowns is that we're not trying to do anything new. We're trying to do what's always worked, right? That town center. It's that feeling of people coming together, coming at harvest or at the weekends or at night, right? Come together to meet people, to get together when you have an event, something to celebrate, something to, dance to, all those type of things. And so we had our summer music series there this year. And so people just want to get together and they want a central space to do that. It's no different than every neighborhood has a neighborhood park. Downtowns is just kind of the neighborhood park for the whole region. And so we see people showing up. We have a number of new businesses. I think I mentioned it on the show last Friday because I think I had a burrito there last Friday morning. But Maria's just opened up in downtown Fargo, just off Broadway, right on First Avenue, and amazing food. They have breakfast and lunch, soups, horchata, everything you can expect from a kind of a taco shop, and expanded offerings. I hope to have them on the radio too. Maybe I can get them to bring some tacos. I think we should have a taco battle downtown. I know we have the burger battle in June, but taco battle would be pretty good too with Vinyl Taco and others. Everybody can make a taco. I'm gonna try to work that out because tacos sound good right now. Maybe I should, while I'm out here, I should stop at Taco John's. Don't tell anybody back home, but I mean Taco John's is there still a line out the door probably at Taco John's? But I'll say I'm kind of happy we don't have drive-thrus in downtown Fargo, but I could go for some potato Lay's drive-thru every once in a while, I'll be honest. But Maria's is amazing. It's more authentic, and it's fun to have them. But one of the many new places I get to eat for lunch downtown, Nova is another one. I know talking to my mom last night, she went to Nova for lunch yesterday with some friends. I've been a fan of the little bodega that just opened up on 2nd Avenue. They have these deli sandwiches that are pretty affordable. It's not a big to-do. It's not a restaurant. You go in and just buy the sandwich and walk out, and they're delicious. You can grab some produce while you're there. They have soups. They have kind of small market goods. And so if you haven't checked out the little bodega, or if you live downtown and you're looking for something, or if you're just that corporate worker downtown who doesn't want to go eat lunch at a restaurant but wants to take something and go, the sandwiches are huge. And I think they're like $8, which is probably the cheapest lunch you'll find in town. One of those things. They're delicious. We have some other fun places. There's fresh juice. If you're one of those on the healthier side and want to go get juice for lunch or breakfast, they have fresh squeezed juice on MP Avenue, which I'm really excited for. MP Avenue right at Old Broadway there. Old Broadway is always a destination, but right behind Old Broadway is the new MP Avenue parking ramp. Still looks like it's under construction, so it's not being utilized all that much. But if you're coming downtown for something, check out the MP Avenue ramp. It's very secure, new technology. It's a cool parking ramp. It's very open right there where that parking lot used to be between NDSU's Renaissance Hall and the Old Broadway. But we're hoping to really kind of push that for our upcoming events like the parade and stuff that kind of pack all the parking ramps. But right across from there is going to go some new businesses, but that's where Fresh is at and Faux Delicious. NDSU is obviously right there as well, but right around the corner you have 20 Below and everything else. So that parking ramp I expect to get utilized a lot more as it starts to warm up. But what's really exciting for 2026 is the Fargo Moorhead Community Theater that's opening. It's a 400-plus seat theater that's going to have programming almost every day for different kids camps and activities. There's like in addition to the 600 parking spot area, I think there's like 180 apartments that go in right there too. And but I just know that FMCT, if you go down there, you still see the big cranes, but they're almost done on the outside, and they'll start finishing up on the inside. I forget the opening date, but it probably won't be till this fall. But the FMCT has been missing from Fargo. It used to be over at Island Park, and then it was at Yum Cumps for a few years. But I just know the programming, my kids went through that as well. It's going to be amazing for not just downtown, but amazing and amenity. 400-seat theater. I'm looking forward to going to one of their shows because they actually did a really nice job at the Yum Cumps with their shows, but it was definitely kind of, hodgepodged in there, right? That's not what it's meant for. It was a great temporary spot while they were working on this new building, but I think it'll be a premier spot, and it'll be a draw for our kids and that theater community. And I'm kind of curious what other kind of acts they can have in there now that they have a stage and new technology and everything else that goes along with it. But I think we got a great 2026 coming up, and I hope that everybody sees 2026 as a chance to finally get over the COVID hump and really recommit to celebrating our local community and celebrating all the shops and people in it. I think we all do better when we all do better, and it's one of those things where it's our local stores. If we let our local stores fail, we're all going to fail. We're not going to have options, and we're going to be stuck with only shopping online. I don't think anybody wants that. I think we like getting out. We like being able to go in a local store where they know your name, know your face, that sort of Cheers feel, right? Where everybody knows your name. That's the benefit of a local store and a local owner. I love our downtown stores because you walk in there. They'll learn who you are pretty quick. Personal advice. Maybe they'll even get something. They'll stock something if they see you like it, right? If you can say, hey, I really like these. Is there more designs of these, or is there more types of these? They'll order that. You can't get that from, going to Old Navy or something. There's times for all those type of things, but you can't get that personal service and attention, and that's what we get from our local businesses. And that dollar spent goes a lot further, and it'll help everybody if we keep shopping local. So look for a way in this January and February when it's cold and dark out there to try to get out there and support your local businesses. I know it's a slow time of year for just about everybody. We all slow down this time of year. It's like our self-hibernation, right? We slow ourselves down. But I think we got to find a way to brighten it up and make that winter manageable. And on days like this, it's a good reminder of that. We'll talk more when we get back after the break. Welcome back. Happy Friday. Segment 4 here. We were talking about state of downtown and the 5 million visits we get to downtown Fargo last year from 600,000 different people. And I just want to highlight one. We lost a little giant in our community last Friday, Mary Weiler. Mary raised a family of 8 children just off downtown on the south side. But her family has a number of downtown businesses, and she has just been a fixture in our community. And we lost her last Friday, and just want to pay her some respects. She lost a child to suicide about 20 years ago now, and she took that grief that we all struggled to deal with, and she turned it into something amazing and helpful for our whole community. She started the first Association for Suicide Prevention in Fargo, but she took that and then ended up opening the state organization as well, and opening that in Grand Forks, I think in Minot, and spread it across the whole state, and spent that 20 years of grief and turned it into hope and passion for everybody else. And I'm sure, just like many of the listeners out there, I have suicide in my family as well. And finding a way to grieve, I think we're all taught how to grieve. It's tough in the best of times, but we're taught how to grieve for a parent, for a friend. When you lose someone to suicide, there's complications to that. How do you talk about it? Can you grieve? How do you grieve? Should you grieve? All those things, right? What are the unanswered questions around each different situation? And Mary was just one of those people that said, hey, let's talk about it, and led the Out of Darkness Watches. And I think my favorite story, I was at the first one that was hosted here in Fargo, and hundreds of people showed up. It was one of those things where who's your advertising market when you do a walk like that? You put it out there, and you figure if you can't be alone. If you're dealing with this issue, there must be others. And hundreds of people came out. Just so many people dealing with it. And I think it's become one of those stigmas that people talk about it a lot more now. I know we had a small part in that in our downtown Fargo. Downtown Fargo is a gathering place, and it's where people go for events and community, but it's also where you go to grieve sometimes. Bars are a grieving area. Parking ramps are a place to go and sit and think about your thoughts. And one thing we did in downtown Fargo is we put up 988 crisis signs. If you're out there and having a crisis of any kind, you can call 988 and talk it through with somebody. But we helped get the word out for that, and it was sort of Mary's passion that helped push that. I know the group I belong to, working on those issues, they all see Mary as the founder of this in the local area, and just so happy to have her as a fixture and her family, what it means to downtown Fargo, the businesses they opened up. But Mary was always around. I saw her walking in the Skyway. Last time I saw her was about 6 to 8 weeks ago, maybe, at Youngblood Coffee with her family. And I remember I got to say hi to her, and it meant a lot that was kind of a quiet but meaningful goodbye. I didn't know if I'd get to see her again as I was getting updates along the way. And she has her funeral today up at, I think, Holy Spirit at 2 o'clock today. And so I know it's going to be a packed house with everybody she's touched with her efforts over the years and her very large family that she has taught about public service and to give back and to just be good. I think her daughter said it last night at the visitation that she was proud of her kids because they are all good humans. And I think that's just important reminder to be good humans and know that everybody's grieving about something. And so if you see someone having a tough day or maybe they're mean to you even, right? They probably didn't mean to be mean to you. They're probably dealing with their own issue. Just remember that when you're going out there. It's as true in downtown as it is in every neighborhood. And thank you, Mary, for all that you did. And I grew up with you and knew you my whole life, and to just really appreciate you and your entire Weiler family. Turn the sights to my daughter for a minute just to end the show here, but happy she entered a contest at school called the Patriot Pen. No idea what that means. Patriot's one of those terms now that has a whole different meaning than it probably did 10 years ago or 20 years ago. So Patriot Pen, but she won. She won a $50 cash prize. I remember getting a $50 cash prize for like a science fair or something like that. But my daughter had a contest, and I don't think she won. I think she placed, which was good. Somebody else can win. It's good to be humbled. Take that as my dad moment, because it's good to be humbled. But she still placed, which is important. But she talked about what it means to be a patriot, and just kind of wanted to maybe end the show because she's 14. She didn't want me to read this. And so she kind of hid it from my wife and I. And eventually she decided to share it. We didn't get to see it ahead of time, but she talked about what it means to be a patriot. And she talked about kindness. And she said, kindness is a simple human action. Everyone does it. Everyone appreciates it. However, many people don't understand the profound impact that kindness can create. Kindness is the greatest form of patriotism in today's world. She went on to talk about it and just said, there's so many people struggling. Our country's struggling with some things. We've struggled in the past, and it almost has never succeeded because of the opposite of kindness, right? We've only moved forward when we've decided that kindness wins. Wars, everything else, you come together, you still have to shake hands at the end of every competition. It's that moment of kindness that advances to the next step. It's not the moment of competition, the moment of hate, the moment of anger. It's the moment of kindness where we decide, hey, let's instead be kind together. That's when the game ends. That's when the war ends. The wars don't end because of a murder, of a violent action. The game doesn't end until you go and shake hands, right? That's what we learned growing up, and that's the same thing out there right now. But it's also one of those things that's contagious. Just like every emotion, kindness is just as contagious as hate. And so if you're going to choose one, just want to tell everybody, like my daughter, 14 years old, pretty smart, choose kindness. It's a simple human action. Everyone appreciates it. So go out and spread kindness this weekend and take care of each other. And we'll talk to you next Friday.